September 1921. A small boat disappears into the fog of the Arctic Ocean, leaving 5 people on a piece of land that isn't even supposed to exist on most maps, Wrangel Island. 4 young, ambitious men, and 1 woman who had never spent a single night in the wilderness. 2 years later, a rescue ship finally broke through the ice. The sailors expected to find a graveyard. Instead, they found a woman who had conquered the North. But behind her smile was a story of betrayal, madness, and a struggle for survival that the British and American governments tried to bury for decades. Today, we dig deeper into the secret tragedy of Ada Blackjack. To understand why Ada was on that island, you have to meet Vilhjalmur Stefansson. He was a celebrity explorer, but today many call him a con artist. He had a theory called the Friendly Arctic. He claimed that the North was a land of plenty, that you didn't need supplies, only a rifle. Stefansson wanted to claim Wrangel Island for the British Empire, but he didn't want to go himself. He hired 4 young men in their 20s. They were brave, but they were inexperienced. They needed one more person, a seamstress to maintain their caribou skin clothes. If those clothes failed, they would freeze to death in minutes. Ada Blackjack was a 23-year-old Inuit woman. She wasn't an explorer. She was a mother in mourning. She'd already lost 2 children to starvation and illness. Her only surviving son, Bennett, had tuberculosis. Ada was penniless. She had to place Bennett in an orphanage because she couldn't afford his medicine. When Stefansson's team offered her $50 a month, a fortune for her, she saw a way to save her son. She was terrified of the white man's expedition, and she was terrified of polar bears. In fact, she took a Bible with her as her only protection. She didn't go for glory, she went for Bennett. The first year on Wrangel Island went according to plan, but Stefansson's Friendly Arctic was a lie. By the summer of 1922, a massive ice wall blocked the sea. The supply ship that was supposed to bring food and mail never arrived. The group realized they were abandoned. The men who had mocked Ada for her fears began to panic. Rations were disappearing. Scurvy, the silent killer of the North, began to rot their bodies from the inside out. They were trapped in a white prison, and the guards were the polar bears Ada had always feared. January 1923. The situation was fatal. Alan Crawford, Milton Galle, and Fred Maurer made a desperate decision. They would walk across the frozen long strait, over 100 miles of shifting ice, to reach Siberia and bring help. They left Ada behind with Lorne Knight, who was too sick to walk. The 3 men walked into a blizzard and vanished. To this day, not a single bone, glove, or footprint has ever been found, as they simply disappeared into history. Ada was now the head of the camp, but her only companion was a dying man who grew more resentful every day. For the next 6 months, Ada lived through a psychological nightmare. Lorne Knight was bedridden with scurvy. Ada did everything. She hunted, she chopped wood, she emptied his waste. But Knight, in his delirium, turned on her. He screamed that she wasn't doing enough. He called her names. Ada would go outside and cry in the snow, but then she would wipe her tears and go back in to feed him. She even built a bear ramp out of driftwood so she could shoot at polar bears from a safe height. On June 23, 1923, Lorne Knight died. Ada was now alone on the island with only a cat named Vic. She was so afraid of the body that she built a barricade of wooden boxes around Knight's bunk to protect herself from the sight of death. She lived in that tent with a dead man for 2 months. When the rescue ship Donaldson arrived in August, the crew was stunned. Out came Ada, wearing a parka she had perfectly tailored herself. She was healthy. She had mastered the Arctic, but the world wasn't kind to her. Stefansson used the tragedy to sell books, but he paid Ada almost nothing. The families of the dead men accused her of not doing enough to save Lorne. Ada, shy and traumatized, didn't fight back. She took the little money she had, took Bennett out of the orphanage, and moved to a small cabin. Ada Blackjack died at age 83. She never remarried. She never became famous. But she is the woman who proved that the Friendly Arctic was a killer, and that a mother's love is the most powerful survival tool in existence. Did Ada owe anything to the men who brought her there? Tell us in the comments. Subscribe for more stories of the people history tried to ignore. See you in the deep end.